Okay, and here's my empty Crown Royal bottle. I soaked all the labels off it and cleaned it up really well. I actually have a video that I made on how to remove labels the best way from glass bottles. I'll put a link below in the description for that video. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give it one coat of my homemade chalk paint. And I also have a tutorial for that, and I'll leave that down below in the description too. It works really well to adhere to glass. I've tried latex paint and I've tried acrylic paint all on glass, and I always have my best results with chalk paint. It seems to adhere the best to glass and doesn't peel or lift off. You always want to make sure that it dries really well in between coats. Okay, now the second coat has completely dried, and I'm going to take a little sponge and I'm just going to sponge the chalk paint over the whole bottle. It gets rid of those brush lines and it also smooths it out really nice. And you want to let it completely dry before this step. Now to put the graphics on, I'm going to be doing the Mod Podge reverse transfer. This is my graphic. I've printed it off on my LaserJet printer and reversed the text, and I'm using my Mod Podge matte. Now you can try this technique with an inkjet printer. I have a tutorial where I compared the inkjet and the LaserJet. You can go back and have a look at it. I find that it's sometimes when you're using your inkjet, the graphics rub off really easy. And you're just going to put a light coat of the Mod Podge completely over the whole graphic. I have this graphic in my Etsy store if you want to purchase it. It will be $1 if you use the coupon SAVE50, and you can print it off on your LaserJet printer right in your own home, and I already have it reversed, so it's all ready to go. Now you want to flip it over and make sure it's centered really well right where you want it on the bottle, and press it down firmly and get all little wrinkles and all little bubbles out, and you're all set to let it sit and dry completely. I always like to let mine set overnight. Okay, this is set overnight and it's nice and dry, and now we're going to rub off the paper. So you're just going to take a damp rag and you're just going to dampen the paper until you can start to see the graphics show through. And then you rub away all the paper and the graphics will stay on the bottle. This takes a little bit of patience. Just take your time and rub the paper off slowly. If you wet your paper too much, you will actually rub off the graphics too. So it kind of just takes a knack to know how much water you need, and you can always just dampen your fingers a little bit and keep rubbing if it gets too dry. And there we have, the graphics are all done and it's nice and crisp looking. Now I wanted to make a pretty little tag to hang from the top of the bottle that says please. So this is what you're going to need. I have a piece of computer paper, plain computer paper, and I have a napkin that I really love the floral print of, and I'm going to stick the napkin onto the paper, and then I'm going to put it through my printer and print out the word please on my napkin. Now you have to do this step because if you just put the napkin obviously through the printer, it would jam it up. So I'm putting the paper on it to make it more stiff, and it will go right through your printer. You can actually do this little tag and this process with an inkjet printer. Cut off all your excess napkin and you're ready to put it through the printer. And these little wooden tags I actually got at the dollar store, and they come in a package of about 20 of them, all different shapes. And I'm just giving it a coat of my white chalk paint on the front and the back. I've put my napkin through the printer, and now I'm going to adhere it to my little tag. Now I'm just going to cut out the size that I need to adhere it to the tag. I have more of an in-depth tutorial on how to print on your own napkins, and I'll put that link below in the description so you can go back and you can have a watch of that video. If you have a hard time finding napkins in your area with the design or the graphics that you like on them, this is a great process. Now this is a fun technique. I'm going to use a little bit of cling wrap, and you want to take a piece just a little bit bigger than the tag and you're going to adhere your napkin to the tag with the cling wrap. You want your cling wrap a little bit bigger than the actual tag because when you heat it, it will shrink. You're going to place your tag on a piece of parchment paper, and I have a towel underneath so the heat doesn't go through on the table. Put your cling wrap on, and then you're going to place your napkin on top of that and center the word exactly where you want it on the tag. And then you're going to take another piece of parchment paper, and I'm going to take my iron, and it's on setting 6 with no steam. And you're going to just adhere that napkin to the little tag with the cling wrap in between, and it'll melt it all together, and it makes a beautiful smooth finish. I love doing this technique. It's so much fun, and there's so many possibilities that you can use it with. And now I'm just going to take my sanding block. It's 80 grit, and I'm just going to sand it all along the edges. And as you do that, it's going to take the napkin off very smooth, and it's going to look like a really nice finished edge. And there you have a beautiful tag with a beautiful floral background. And I'm going to do the same process on the back, just with a plain piece of napkin. And now we're ready to put a finish coat on my bottle. I'm using my Varathane water-based polyacrylic sealer, and this is in satin, and it's an outdoor mixture. This will give it a nice water-resistant seal. It won't be waterproof, but you'll be able to wipe it with a damp cloth, and it'll work perfect. And I'm also going to seal my tag with the polyacrylic also. Now for the lid of the bottle, I bought this hand soap at the dollar store, and the actual pump screws right into the top of the Crown Royal bottle. Perfect. And I'm going to spray paint it with this spray paint, and it is actually made for plastics, so it'll adhere really well to the pump. While I'm waiting for the spray paint to dry, I'm going to put a little hole in the top of my tag so I can put a piece of twine through it to hang it from the bottle. I thought it would look really nice to put a nice decorative piece of braided twine along the neck of the bottle, so I'm just going to hot glue that onto the bottle. And I just took some twine that I got from the dollar store and I braided it, and that's what I'm using. And I'm just going to tie the little tag that says please along the neck of the bottle, just underneath that braided twine. Now I left the pump right in the bottle when I spray painted it because then it was easier to hang on to, and I gave it 2 coats of the spray paint. I'm going to save the bottle for another project, and the pump is ready to screw right into the bottle. And as you can see, it screws right in tight, and you can fill it with your soap. I hope I've inspired you to save those glass bottles and upcycle them. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.